G'day viewers, Retro Man here. Today I'll be reviewing episode 7 of Tulsa King. Stay tuned for more.
Coming to you from a basement studio somewhere down under, it's the 80s Show with Australia's Retro Man. On tonight's show, Retro Man reviews episode 7 of Tulsa King. Well, what are we waiting for? Lights, camera, Retro Man!
G'day viewers, Retro Man here and welcome to the 80s Show. Now today I'll be reviewing episode 7 of Tulsa King, titled War Acres. Now this episode gets off to a very suspenseful start. We see Dwight and Mitch bury the body of Carson Pike. He was the guy that they had a shootout with at the bar in the previous episode. And shortly after this, Dwight finds out that his son-in-law in New York has actually suffered a brutal attack, and he kind of says to his daughter, well, I need you to come to Tulsa for your protection, and his daughter sort of doesn't want to come to Tulsa. So that's an interesting little plot thread developing. So anyway, guys, the main crux of this episode is two startling deaths. I mean, two characters die, and it is very gritty, very disturbing, and very confronting. So let's start with Roxy. You remember her. She's actually the girlfriend of Carson Pike, the guy that Dwight and Mitch just knocked off. And so Roxy finds out that Carson's dead, and she's very distressed, and she's been working as an informant for Stacy and the ATF. And she decides to get a little bit more information on Waltrip, the leader of the bikers, and she attempts to get it from his computer system, and then all of a sudden Waltrip turns up, and it's a very suspenseful scene, guys. He actually eliminates Roxy. So Roxy is out of the picture now. It's a very confronting death scene. And next we have a very interesting development with Pete and Chicky. Pete is the mob boss and Chicky's his son. And you think that they're getting along all right. I mean, Chicky's been looking after Pete for quite some time now. Pete's been unwell. And they find out from the doctors that Pete's improving a little, and he may even last another 15 years, which is good news. But Chicky kind of doesn't know how to handle things at the moment. He's going into a deep descent mentally, and he actually goes to a church and he talks to a priest, and he doesn't like what has happened to his life. He's very miserable, and he realizes that his dad Pete is really the crux of a lot of his problems. He got into this mob life because of him. He wanted to go to the army and study and do all of these things that other people do, but he's stuck in with the mob and he's kind of split. So in a very disturbing scene, Chicky is bathing Pete, and all of a sudden Chicky turns the tables and actually drowns Pete, and it's very shocking, guys. So Chicky now is taking over as the head of the mafia family, and they're arranging Pete's funeral, and he tells everyone that Pete died of a heart attack, which is not the truth, of course. Dwight's not coming back to New York for the funeral, and now I guess you could kind of refer to this episode as the rise of Chicky, because at the close of the episode, Chicky is kind of transformed. He's descended into madness. He no longer has that hair. He's now bald, and he's open for business, guys. So he'll be going after Dwight by the looks of things, and this is going to take a real turn in the next episode. So meanwhile, Goody has come out from New York. Goody's one of the mafia guys, and he's now going to be working with Dwight in Tulsa, and this should be interesting. He's kind of a little bit of an informant. I mean, he's telling Chicky what's going on, and yeah, so that's a little bit of a sidebar thing. Is Goody on Dwight's side? Is he on Chicky's side? What's really going on there? That should be an interesting development. And also, at the end of the episode, Dwight is actually asked out on a date by Margaret, who runs the stables, and they have dinner out, and Margaret buys him dinner, which is quite interesting. And Dwight actually comes clean on a few things. He gets very personal with Margaret, and he actually confides in her that he was put away in jail for the murder of a guy. And it's quite an interesting plot revelation. We knew Dwight had been away for 25 years, but we didn't exactly know why, and now we know. And the question is, how does Margaret take this? And that's an interesting little sidebar plot development. So yes, there's a lot going on here. This episode delves into the deeper complexities of these characters. We really find out that Chicky is hurting big time. And it's all coming to a head, guys. What can I say? There is going to be fireworks in Tulsa because I think Chicky's coming after Dwight. So yes, Chicky is kind of descended into madness. I mean, with this bald head now, he resembles, shall we say, Marlon Brando in Apocalypse Now. And it's all set up for fireworks between Chicky and Dwight. Yes, I think Chicky's going to come out to Tulsa and try to deal with Dwight. He can't take it anymore, and there's definitely going to be an explosive finale to this series. Episode 7 was very enjoyable, but there was a heart of darkness to it that it just couldn't shake. I mean, they're going to dark places, these characters. So that concludes my review of episode 7 of Tulsa King, but I can't wait now for episode 8. I mean, there's going to be fireworks, guys, and I'll be back to talk more about that one very soon. But in the meantime, please like, comment, and subscribe, and keep watching the 80s show because I have a lot more coming your way. It's been an absolute pleasure, guys. This is Retro Man, living the dream, 80s style. Stay gold.
Thanks for watching. Retro Man will return faster than a boomerang and just as tough as Stallone in Tulsa King. Please subscribe and good night, viewers.